everybody, and welcome to the first ever ACS Quarantine Classic. I am Dave Aizer, and I am so excited that you are joining us for a jam-packed hour talking with South Florida sports royalty, all for a great cause to raise money for the American Cancer Society, because cancer has not stopped during this pandemic, so neither have we. And we are attacking cancer from all angles with a star-studded lineup. Let me run down the guest list. The people I'm going to be speaking with over the next hour: sports legends Mike Lowell, Gino DeMare, Bernie Kosar, Jason Taylor, Steve Shapiro, John Crotty, Mike Schmidt, John Offerdahl, and Jordana DePaula. It is going to be so much fun. I'm sure many of you miss sports. I know I do. So we're going to get our fill, and we're going to have a blast doing it. And of course, also, we need your help. We would love for you to donate money to the ACS during this telethon. There are a couple of different ways that you can do it. You can simply text CURE to 20222. That will be a $25 donation. Or if you're watching us on Facebook, you can just hit that donate button and you'll be able to donate right then and there. And not only are we doing all this and bringing in South Florida sports legends and talking about the ACS, but we're also honored to be doing it on National Cancer Survivors Day. What a great day to host this virtual telethon. There are so many wonderful stories of people who have survived cancer throughout the United States. In fact, 16.9 million cancer survivors in the US, and I am blessed to say that I am one of those. I am a stage 3 melanoma survivor, and I am so honored to be part of this, because I can tell you from the bottom of my heart that I am alive in large part because of the American Cancer Society and the help they gave me finding a clinical trial, and all the help they've given me along the way in my recovery from melanoma. So with all of this said, let's get into it. And we are starting with a great first guest. I am so excited to welcome in this guy. If you are a baseball fan and you watched the 2003 World Series, you saw your Florida Marlins win in large part because of that guy right there, third baseman Mike Lowell. He's a two-time World Series winner. He also won one with the Red Sox, and oh, by the way, was named MVP of that World Series. He's an all-star. He's a Gold Glover. He's a South Florida guy. He's also a cancer survivor. It is great to see you. Mike, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Dave. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Of course, it's our pleasure. I love the backdrop. I love the jerseys you got behind you. Looking good.
Yeah, it's my little man cave escape. So some of the names you mentioned, they're represented pretty good here. So it's a fun thing to be able to show people.
Fantastic. All right, take me back to the 2003 team. It was so fun living down here watching you guys, because you kind of came out of nowhere. I'm sure you've got a million memories and a million stories, but when I bring up that team, what comes to mind?
The looseness. We actually had we're against the world type attitude, and I don't think anyone in the baseball world expected us to make even the postseason that year. So we felt like we had nothing to lose. Just let's just play our game as well as we could. And, in that first round, we played the Giants, and the Giants had been in the World Series the year before, so we were definitely the underdogs. And, after we get through the Giants, it's the whole Cubs thing with the Bartman Ball, and down 3-1, so we come back there. And then, to get to the World Series against the Yankees, there's no way the Marlins are going to beat the Yankees in Yankee Stadium. So it was a lot of proving people wrong, but, we were young, and we knew we were pretty good. But when we kind of took off in, June and July, it was kind of special to see how dominant our young pitching was, how good our defense was. We had team speed at the top of the lineup. We had power. So we were a very, well-balanced team where we were kind of trying to figure ourselves out. So definitely a storybook ending, especially for someone like me growing up in South Florida, that, when I played Little League, there wasn't even a major league team. The University of Miami was the highlight, to go see, live baseball. So to be a part of that in my hometown was definitely something that was extra special.
Yeah, and the way you guys got to and won the World Series, as you just mentioned, the Bartman game, and then Yankee Stadium of all places, playing the World Series there. What was the Bartman experience like for you?
As I see, some documentaries and stuff going on, I realized kind of us in the dugout, how much in the dark we were at the time. What I do remember is, we had the camera guys at the end of the dugout, and there was a police officer in there, and he's hearing stuff, in his earpiece. And, he's saying, man, they're crushing this guy. And I remember Mark Redmond, our left-handed starter, was like, come on, boys, let's make him famous. Let's make him famous, kind of to take advantage of kind of the break we got that, that ball wasn't caught. We really had no idea, to what extent it was, and I actually watched the game. They put a replay on the game. And that was the first time I really realized how many times the camera actually, went back to Bartman. If you look at it, there was like 3-4 big hits that had to happen. It was just a pitch. There was a big error. So I think with all that being said, our team really took advantage of an opportunity. I feel terrible for the guy because I think he was a lifelong Cubs fan, and anyone sitting in that chair would have probably done exactly what he did, and he kind of got crushed for it. But, it was something that was so weird that how much exposure he got, how much exposure a fan got during the game of, that was so important for really both teams. We really just didn't know what was going on.
But then to your point, you still had to come back and win and then win the World Series. So well earned. Want to ask you about your battle with cancer. You've been cancer-free for over 20 years now. Congratulations. What did your journey with testicular cancer teach you? How has it changed you?
Well, for me, it came at a point in my life where there was a lot of uncertainty. I had been married 3 months. I had just been traded from the Yankees over to the Marlins. And I give credit to the Marlins doctors. They're the ones that found it. And what's really shocked me was I really never had symptoms. And I think it was a blessing in disguise because they found it and I had one of the earlier stages and I went through radiation and surgery. But I was 24 and, at first I was like, man, I just hope this doesn't define me and it doesn't derail my career. And I think it really put life in perspective pretty quick. At 24, having a chance, to establish yourself as a big leaguer, I think sometimes you can get lost in that fairy tale world that I was kind of living in. And I got a little shock of really what's important in life pretty young. And I think it kind of helped me in my career to kind of handle ups and downs. But, a huge thank you to, all the doctors. And I still remember the one thing that sticks in my mind is when I went to see, I was on the operating table 48 hours after the diagnosis. And the day after, 24 hours after, before the surgery, the doctor was going to operate. The first thing he says to me is, congratulations. And I was like, what? I was in a state of, shock. I was in no mood to joke around. I said, I don't understand what you mean. And he said to me, no matter how far along this is, you can beat this. So take that to heart. It kind of put things into a perspective of, all right, this isn't a death blow. This is a setback. And I just admire all the people that kind of have had, situations that were much more progressed than mine and really never lost faith and had, that support system that I think all of us need to get through a time like this.
Mike, it's great to hear that story. Congratulations on your health. Congratulations on your phenomenal baseball career. You're a South Florida guy, a perfect guest for our show today. I'm so happy that you joined us. Be well, and I hope to talk to you again soon.
Thank you, Dave. I appreciate it.
You got it, buddy. Take care. All right. Mike Lowell kicking us off, or I guess to put it in baseball parlance, hitting a home run at the start of the show to get the show started off. And remember, we need your help throughout this entire sports telethon from 7 to 8 p.m. and then beyond. We would love for you to donate. All you got to do is text 20222, text the word CURE, and that's a $25 donation. Or if you're watching us on Facebook, you can just hit the donate button there, and you'll be able to do that. We are going to keep the sports guests coming, but before we do that, we're going to be joined by the CEO of the American Cancer Society, Gary Reedy. He's also the CEO of ACS CAN, the Cancer Action Network. He has some welcoming words for everybody as well, and he wants to share them with you. Gary, take it away.
Hello, South Florida. I'm Gary Reedy, CEO of your American Cancer Society, and welcome to the American Cancer Society Quarantine Classic. Now, these are challenging times for cancer patients, but thanks to supporters like you, we continue to be there every step of the way, providing information, guidance, and support 24/7. And I can sense a real spirit of hope at this event today. And it's that spirit of hope for cancer patients, hope for our communities, and hope for our nation that can never be canceled. Thank you for joining this virtual event today. In these uncertain times, your support is more important than ever, and your dedication is stronger than ever. And thank you for standing with cancer patients when they need you the most, and for reminding us that hope will always prevail. Now, no doubt this event feels different, and I certainly look forward to the day when we can all gather in person to celebrate South Florida's hometown sports heroes. But until that day arrives, we will continue to stand together to save lives, celebrate lives, and lead the fight for a world without cancer, even when we are apart. Thank you again for your support.
Thank you so much, Gary. It's always great to hear from you. We really appreciate it. And we want to mention that the ACS continues to make sure that nobody faces cancer alone. The ACS is available to patients 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. The ACS attacks cancer from multiple angles, promoting healthy lifestyles, researching cancer, fighting for life-saving policy changes, funding research grants, and more. So we're going to keep mentioning it throughout the hour. We would love for you to donate. That'd be wonderful. If you can just text 20222, text the word CURE to that number for a $25 donation. Or, of course, you can just hit the donate button if you're watching us on Facebook. Every dollar helps. Every amount helps. And we really appreciate it. We have so many more great guests to get to. I see them all being queued up right now. My tech guys are going to tell me when the next guest is ready. And as soon as they are, we'll get right to it. In the meantime, let me just read you a bit of messaging from the American Cancer Society. The ACS has been doing this for over 100 years, and every day more people are diagnosed with cancer, and due to the COVID-19 pandemic, they're more vulnerable than ever. Their needs are urgent. So this is undoubtedly a challenging time, but the fact is cancer does not stop, and neither do we. So today we are here to raise much needed funds to support the American Cancer Society's mission of saving lives, celebrating lives, and leading the fight for a world without cancer. And that is why we are here today doing this. I see Jordana DePaula.
Hello.
Are you ready to go? Hey, Jordana, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. Let me give you your introduction. From 2011 to 2016, she covered all the big sports teams here in Florida for Fox Sports and Fox Sports Florida. She's seen some incredible South Florida sporting moments. She's also an actress. She's got a prolific career. She's done a ton of things, and she's been very involved locally with the American Cancer Society, which is wonderful. So we have a lot to talk about. So, yes. Jordana, good to see you. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing? Happy Sunday. How's it going?
It's going well. We just chatted with Mike Lowell, a great way to start the show. And I'm super excited to talk to you because you're coming at it from the broadcasting side, and you had a chance to cover some great events in South Florida sports. What was your favorite?
Oh, it's hard to choose a favorite. But I think for a big favorite would be the back-to-back championship with the Miami Heat. I was able to cover the big three when they were in Miami, and not only one championship, but a 2012 championship and a 2013 championship. So to me, that was unbelievable. I was there on Game 6 when Ray Allen scored that tie back. I was like, oh my God, this is like incredible. I'm living through like history if you think about it. So that was amazing. And then I was able to do the championship parade with them. It was incredible. So I think the Miami Heat really like outdid it for me with my career, but it was amazing.
You know, a lot of people who were at that game when Ray Allen hit that three, they had left.
They were leaving.
Right? They were out the door and heard the roar and then came back.
100%. They were all leaving. And I was like, what? I thought my heart, I thought I was going to have a heart attack. And I think I was like 25 at the time.
Yeah. What is it like to be able to be a sportscaster? I've had the privilege of doing it as well, but there's plenty of people watching who wonder what that situation is like to be interviewing athletes, to be on the court with these athletes. I mean, it's really exciting stuff, right?
It's incredible. And all you want is, so you get really connected with the team that you're working with, right? So all you want is for them to win and for them to just have that excitement, and for you to share that excitement with them is just, it's everything. So for me, I think that experience for me was just, you can't buy that. I mean, you can't, just experiencing it and having that opportunity. I was so grateful to be over there with them. So it was amazing.
And not only have you done plenty of broadcasting, but you've done a ton of other stuff, some acting as well, including Ballers, which is a huge show down here, obviously, because of The Rock. What was that experience like?
Oh, it was amazing. I mean, just being on set, it's just the energy, the vibe that they give off, and having incredible actors around you. One of my first gigs were also Rock of Ages here in Miami, and I walked in on my first day of acting ever. I've never been to an acting class before, so I walked in and I was on set with Tom Cruise, Alec Baldwin, Julianne Hough, and then I was just like, wow, like the energy that they just give off. I mean, they're just incredible. And yeah, Ballers was amazing with The Rock. And, like I said, just grateful to have like opportunities, and just taking every single door that opens in front of me is just the way that I live. So it's been really great.
I want to ask you about your work down here in South Florida with the American Cancer Society. I know it's super important to you. Share with us a bit about why you're so active and passionate about the ACS.
Of course. I mean, I've emceed the gala, I think it was 2 years ago here in South Florida, but I'm very connected with American Cancer. My dad he has skin cancer. My grandfather had stomach cancer. He passed a couple years ago, and my aunt had melanoma. So it's been a whirlwind for my family. So for me, I have to give back because I have been not directly affected, but with some people in my family. So it's very important for me to spread the message and make sure that people are aware of the situation. So I'm so like happy to just share the message and be on here with you today. And I know that you're a cancer survivor yourself, so congrats on that. And I just hope that everybody just knows that what we're doing today is super special. So I'm very, very, very happy to be here with you today.
That's so nice of you to say, so wonderfully said. I can see why you're a broadcaster. So thank you, Jordana. It's great to chat with you, and keep up all the good work that you're doing in the community.
Thank you so much.
You got it. Take care.
Bye. Mwah.
Bye. We are going to go back to baseball and to my alma mater, the U. And we're talking with the head coach of the University of Miami baseball team. But not only that, Gino DiMare is baseball royalty. He played for the Canes. He coached for the Canes for 20 years. He's been the head coach of the Canes for a couple of years now. And there's so much to talk with him about because, of course, the baseball season did get canceled because of COVID. But before that happened, the baseball team was ranked #1 in the country in some polls. So he had a great team going this year, and I can see him right there on the screen. Gino, you hear me? I think, all right, Gino's working on his feed. The tech guys are going to let me know when he's ready to rock and roll, which is totally cool. I can hear him. I can't hear him. So we're going to work on that. No worries. We'll get to Gino as soon as we can. If you are just joining us, this is the ACS Quarantine Classic. We are celebrating the American Cancer Society, and we're also trying to raise funds because cancer has not stopped during the COVID-19 pandemic, and neither have we. And we are attacking cancer from all angles with some big-time names from South Florida sports. We've already chatted with Mike Lowell. We just talked to Jordana. Now we're talking with Gino DiMare from the University of Miami. And I think let's try this again. Gino, can you hear me? All right, we're going to keep, look, it's live. Now you guys know it's live, right? We're going to keep working on that. Listen, he is a great manager, a great head coach for the baseball team. So we're very excited to chat with him. And by the way, Bernie Kosar just told me this like 3 minutes before the show started. I was chatting with Bernie. We're going to chat with him again in a few minutes. But he just told me that 38 years ago today, this is the anniversary of that famous pickoff play in Baseball World Series history where the pitcher didn't have the ball, first baseman did, that hidden ball trick, and it resulted in a tag out and a pickoff play for a great storied play. So Bernie just dropped that knowledge on me that it's the anniversary of that. Guys, where are we going to next? Okay, so what we're going to do now, we're going to move things around. Hey, we're going to throw a curveball, which is perfect for baseball because that's where we are. I had a chance a few days ago to speak with Mike Schmidt. Now, Mike Schmidt is a melanoma survivor, like I am. In his case, it was more advanced. He was diagnosed in 2013, but the melanoma spread to his lungs and his brain. He is okay now. He is healthy now, which is the most important thing. He's doing great. And Mike Schmidt, if you don't know, because he didn't play in South Florida, He is one of the greatest baseball players in the history of the sport. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a World Series winner. He's a World Series MVP. Let me read you some of his stats. 3-time National League MVP, 12-time All-Star, 10-time Gold Glover. As I said, 1980 World Series champ and a World Series MVP and a Hall of Famer. And even though he played for Philadelphia, he does spend his time now in South Florida. So we're counting him as South Florida sports royalty. So I've talked with him about his baseball career. I talked with him about beating melanoma. And I started out, my first question to Mike was about a game in 1976 when he hit 4 home runs in one game against the Cubs at Wrigley Field. I asked him how he felt at the plate.
You're locked in, but it starts off with being in a slump, actually. Prior to that particular game, it starts off with a nice little pep talk by my old buddy Dick Allen before the game. He got me to relax and borrowed Tony Taylor's bat for the game. And we got way behind in the game, 10 or 11 runs behind. So each and every at-bat wasn't like, a possible game winner or, a real pressurized at-bat. And I just got up and hit a little ground ball single between third and short, and I was 1 for 2. And then the nice little wind blowing out at Wrigley Field, a great day to hit. And I hit a home run, and I hit another home run. And then the game started to get a little tighter. And I got up with 3 straight hits and pretty relaxed at the plate, and I hit another home run. And next thing you know, the game is like tight. I think it was 13-13 or something like that. And we got down to where the at-bats really mattered. And sure enough, I hit the 4th home run, which ended up winning the game. And wow, those games don't come along very often.
Fast forward a couple of years after that, you win the World Series and the World Series MVP. Talk about being locked in. What is that experience like?
We got in by winning 2 out of 3 in Montreal. In the postseason, we snuck through one of the great National League Championship series of all time in Houston. We beat Nolan Ryan. We were down 3 runs in the top of the 9th or 8th. I forget exactly what it was. And we came back and beat Nolan Ryan. And then we went against the Royals, Kansas City Royals, in the World Series. And they're just basically, we were the team that wouldn't die. And we beat them in 6. Yeah, then we got to go to that parade, and we got to, just feel the sense of accomplishment as a team and individuals. The city was so warm, and the whole atmosphere around Philadelphia baseball kind of changed. It was a great thing for me personally because it helped my resume. I finally got some really big, important hits in the postseason, and I felt like I was a big part of that championship. And I think the fans of Philadelphia kind of looked at me in a different light from that point on.
It's really remarkable. Congratulations on that. You are a late-stage melanoma survivor, and I'm wondering what your experience surviving cancer has taught you, how it's changed you as a person.
Immensely. I look at every day as a gift. For me, it brought me closer to my Lord. I did a lot of praying. Ultimately, it brought me closer to my wife, who was my rock, during this whole thing. Every day she talked so positively to me. She helped me through everything. I mean, I was a guy who actually slept during the period of chemo. I was sleeping like, it seemed like about 15 hours a day. All I wanted to do was sleep, and I couldn't remember the names of my friends. We'd take a walk or a ride, and I'd see one of my good friends on the golf course, and I really actually couldn't even remember his name. And this was a guy that I was really close to. So, the whole experience with chemotherapy and, the early stages of curing this thing were very difficult. And she pushed me through all of that. And, of course, love in general is something I've learned a lot about, that there is a higher way of loving people than I ever thought there would be.
Well, it's a wonderful story. So glad to be sharing your successes here today with all the people who are watching. And it's not often that a huge baseball fan gets to talk to the guy considered to be the greatest third baseman in the history of baseball. What an honor, Mike. a true pleasure. Thank you so much.
Let me just leave you with one message. It's all about education, about prevention and early detection.
Well, we go from one of the greatest baseball players of all time to one of the greatest football players of all time. Why not? We go from a Hall of Famer to a Hall of Famer. From Mike Schmidt to Jason Taylor, South Florida royalty, Miami Dolphin royalty. Excuse me, sir, while I just read some of your credentials quickly. I hope you won't mind. Let's see. 3-time first-team All-Pro, 6-time Pro Bowler, NFL Defensive Player of the Year, Walter Payton Man of the Year, which is great as well. And, of course, you played for the Dolphins from 97 to 2007. You missed us, so you came back in 2009. You missed us, so you came back in 2011. Couldn't get enough. Dancing with the Stars, superstar. How are you, man? Good to see you.
I'm doing great, Dave. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. It's a special night for us. We're so glad to be celebrating the American Cancer Society and raising funds, and we're honored that you're joining us for that. I could ask you a million questions about your time with the Dolphins, but we don't have an hour and a half. So I'll ask you, give me a story, give me a memory, give me a moment from your time playing football for the Dolphins.
Wow, there's so many. I mean, I was blessed to play 15 years in the league and 13 here in Miami. As you said, I had to go away a couple of times to come back. But, it's really hard to pick one memory. I mean, I guess you have to go to the beginning when Jimmy Johnson made the phone call in 1997 on draft day. I never understood why GMs say this or head coaches say this, but he called me in the third round of the 97 draft, and he said, "Do you want to be a Miami Dolphin?" Like, is someone going to say no? I guess maybe somebody at some point along the way has said no to a coach, but I certainly was not going to be the one to do it, especially not to Jimmy, especially not the city of Miami. This is, and the crazy thing is, this is exactly where I wanted to be. I grew up in Pittsburgh, huge Steeler fan growing up, but I was a really big Dan Marino fan as well. Dan Marino grew up about 15 minutes away from where I lived. So I always, when I came out, I had a chance to go to the NFL, and I knew it was a possibility. I wanted to be in Miami. So, I mean, how blessed am I? I got a chance to come here in 97, been here since. Don't plan on leaving unless you're paying me a lot of money.
So when you get that phone call and you're obviously, yes, of course I want to play for the Dolphins. Of course. Where do I sign? Do you play it cool though? Are you like, well, sure, I guess.
I'd be lying if I said that. No, like, hell yeah. When do I sign? When do I come? I could leave right now. I'll drive down. He's like, no, relax. We'll get you a flight, a couple days. But no, I had no poker face at the time. I was so excited just to get a chance to go. And, back then when the draft, the first day was 3 rounds. So first, second, and third round, they started at noon. It was about 8:30 maybe at night when I got picked. So it's a long day of sitting and waiting. And, the uncertainty that's associated with the NFL draft is nerve-wracking. So and again, I'm dating myself now, but this is before cell phones were in everybody's hands. You had to have some coin in your pocket to have a cell phone. So sitting there on the landline, just answering phone calls, and family keep calling, "Did you get picked yet?" I'm like, "No, I'll call you. Don't call me again." Trying to keep the line free. And it was a great day, but a great opportunity for me to come to Miami in 1997. Like I said, been here since. This is home, and I love it. Everybody down there.
Yeah, look, your football accolades, your on-field accolades they're unbelievable. You're a Hall of Famer, so it goes without saying. But I'm struck by how much you mean to this community. I think you're on a very short list. I'm not to embarrass you. You're on sort of the Mount Rushmore of South Florida sports stars. So for you being so sort of deeply embedded in this community, what does that mean to you?
It means the world to me. I mean, I'm not a native. I've been here long enough. People think you're a native, but whatever it is, can't do the math now, 23 years of being here. So I feel like I'm from Miami, but I'm really not. I'm a kid from Pittsburgh that came here and was welcome to this city. Obviously busted my butt and try to make an impact on the field and kind of ingratiate yourself to the fans and the community. But I've been adopted as one of Miami's. The way I always look at it, I try to do so much to help this community, a community that's really embraced me and helped me in so many ways. It really changed my life, and I'm trying to pay that forward and change lives, along the way as well.
Well, I've been to a couple of St. Thomas games over the past few years, and I watch you coach these guys, and you're not mailing it in. You are into it. You are coaching. And so what we thought would be fun with you, we're trying to incorporate some trivia into this. So since you're hip now with the high schoolers, you're cool with all the lingo. we came up with a game called Slang or Meme. And I'm just going to give you a couple of terms. There's nothing attached to this. There's no prize, pride, I guess. And you'll tell us if it's slang or if it's meme. Fair enough?
Okay, yeah, I think so. I know what slang is. I think I know what meme is. So let's do it.
A meme is like, this GIF or GIF. I'm dating myself. It's like, a viral thing. All right, so I'll start you off with an easy one. FOMO.
FOMO that's a meme, right?
It's the slang, fear of missing out. FOMO.
Yeah, but I think someone said that to me before. Anything could be a meme, though. I've seen Michael Jordan as a meme, so.
Look, you're right. Let's try one more.
Sorry, the competitive side of me. I know you said there's no prize here. Let me stop. I can't stop competing. Okay, go ahead. Next.
Okay, we'll do another one. Renegade. Is that a slang or a meme?
I guess it's a meme. I don't know.
It is.
I never heard it slang.
Yeah, it's a dance. It's a dance thing that I can't do. But,
okay.
Yeah. All right. Last one. Sipping tea or sip the tea.
Sip the tea. That's gotta be slang.
It is. It's like give me the dirt. Give me the tea. Yeah.
Sip the tea. All right. Now listen. When we get off here, I'm gonna text my St. Thomas players. I'm gonna say sip the tea.
Yeah. Like hey guys, let's sip some tea. What's going on? Yeah.
All right. If I get clowned and they laugh me off the phone, I'm calling you back. We're gonna have a problem. I'm gonna use that one though. Sip the tea. All right.
Yeah. By the way, unfortunately, you can't call back. Sorry, this link only works one time. Oh, too bad.
I like the way you work.
Oh man, what an honor to chat with you. Thank you so much, Jason.
All right. Thanks. Have a good one.
You got it, buddy. Take care.
Yeah.
See you. There he is. He's a Hall of Famer on the field. He's a Hall of Famer in slang and memes. Okay, what do we got next? We're gonna go longer. All right, go live. Who do we have, guys? Where shall we go? Oh, all right, great. Okay, I love it. Live TV. I love it. Let's bring him in. Let me introduce him, even though I don't need a note card for this. I can tell you that back in 1983, the Miami Hurricane football team put together a great season. And then in January of 1984, the Canes played Nebraska for the national championship game, and the guy you're looking at right there was the quarterback of the Miami Hurricanes and won what is arguably the greatest game in the history of college football, 31-30, and that vaulted the Canes to superstar status. There it is. There he is right there. He also played in the NFL for a number of years, got himself a Super Bowl, and he played for the Dolphins. So let's bring in the great Bernie Kosar. Hey, Bernie.
Hey, Dave, great to be with you. God bless you tonight.
So good to see you, man, and I appreciate you dressing up. You look very sharp.
Well, thank you. It's an honor to be here this evening, and coming from a little meeting today, you got the better dressed side of me on a good Sunday church day.
I love it, man. You look great. All right, let's talk about that game, 31-30. Look, a lot of people did not really expect UM to win. You guys were heavy underdogs in that game. So for people who have not seen it, Nebraska scores late. Miami's up 1. Tom Osborne decides to go for 2 for Nebraska. You're on offense, so you're on the sidelines watching this. What's going through your mind when this 2-point conversion is going to decide the game?
Well, first, thanks for this amazing introduction. And going into a game like that, where we really weren't even supposed to be in the game, we definitely weren't supposed to win. And it's almost ironic, spirituality-wise, to what we're here tonight about cancer survivors and the will to win, the will to never quit. And not saying a football game is the same as a life and death situation, but to go into that football game like that and have the Nebraska Cornhuskers being probably the greatest football team ever. And Coach Howard Snellenberger, he had given us such confidence back then. And the ray of hope that we're talking about tonight, that hope that he had put in us, that belief, that confidence, that positiveness to come out the other side of it, that was still resonating with me, even with that 2-point play when they were trying to get that. And just for the record, for all the Hurricane fans out there, there was 48 seconds left. Even if they would have scored, we had 2 timeouts left, and they really hadn't stopped us all day. So I'm glad Kenny Calhoun did tip that ball away. But I do know we would have come down and scored, and still the outcome would have been a W for the Canes.
I love that, man. I love that competitive fire. That is awesome.
Yeah,
Yes.
Jason Taylor in the last segment got me fired up. The competitive juices of us never really leave it. We just mask it as we mature, age out.
Well, listen, you told me a story earlier today that talk about competitive fire. I can't believe this story. I'm going to have you tell it. But when you were playing for the Browns against the Dolphins and you got hurt, this is a remarkable story. Share it with us.
Yeah, probably one of the greatest compliments I had as a player and a person, and it's real appropriate, I think, tonight in the spirit and the honor of Coach Don Shula, that we're playing a Monday night game. It's the first series. I'm with the Cleveland Browns, and we're playing the Miami Dolphins, and Don Shula's on the other sideline, and we got it's the first series of the game, and one of the great linebackers for the Miami Dolphins, John Offerdahl, comes through in the first series and rolls my ankle, ends up breaking my ankle. I ended up playing the rest of the game. For the younger fans out there, I was not very fleet of foot, incredibly slow, so having one broken ankle didn't really inhibit me that much. And the ability to kind of score a couple touchdowns in that fourth quarter on a broken ankle, and then the next day to have to go have surgery. Well, the opposing coaches almost never call other teams' players. And that next morning before my surgery, Coach Shula had called me up to say he had never seen a quarterback play such a tough game on such an injury. And that really resonated so much within me that a year later, when things didn't materialize in Cleveland and I ended up going to Dallas to get a nice Super Bowl ring and I was a free agent, to be able to play my last few years and Coach Shula's last couple of years under him, that leadership was such a special gift and a special moment. And God bless that great man.
What a great story. You think you've heard every Don Shula story, and then you hear that one, and it's awesome. And by the way, I'm interviewing John Offerdahl in about 10, 15 minutes or so I'll make sure to bring this up.
Yeah, well, that John Offerdahl goes a little farther. Our relationship between the broken ankle and then the next year he ends up running into me and he ends up separating his shoulder, ends up missing the rest of the season. And then another Monday night game a couple years later, he ends up separating my knee. So he's got two injuries on me to one. So I'm gonna try to be the bigger man and call the draw.
Well, listen, through the magic of live TV and live Zoom, John was queued up for 10 minutes from now, but here he is. I don't know if you can see him, Bernie, but John is joining us.
I can see him great. And in the interest of what's going on in our country about us all getting along, he knocked me out with two injuries, and I still invested in his Offerdahl's bagel. So God bless.
John, can you hear this?
I've left him speechless.
I think you have. You've rendered him speechless. Okay, he's summoning the will to say something. But I know John pretty well. He'll come up with something, if not now, then later. But man, I love the history between the two of you guys. I do want to ask you before we go, because you also shared this with me earlier. You had a cancer-related health scare not long ago that not a lot of people know about. But if you can share that and the fact that you're doing great now, we'd love to hear that.
Yeah, I've been really blessed, with having 35 surgeries, 75 broken bones, going through life's journeys and stuff. And one of my mentors and quarterbacks I look up to is the great U quarterback and Buffalo quarterback Jim Kelly. Back in the old days, a lot of us didn't wear mouthpieces, and the injuries and medicine weren't the same as before. So I ended up having, like Jim, a couple tumors in my mouth and jaw, and the ability to come about it from a holistic lifestyle that I've been doing now with my holistic clinics, with food as my medicine and megadose vitamins and living amnio well. God's really blessed me to be able to come through and pull through that. And I've been able now to really help other people out with this message and with this, Dave, like you're talking about, protecting one's hope, giving them real outcomes to be able to feel good. And God certainly blessed me to be able to pull through this and have a natural, holistic way to be able to feel healthy and live life.
And I love hearing your story. I'm so glad you're doing well. I love your perspective of how you've attacked cancer and how you're attacking health, and we're all coming together and sharing those stories. There's 100 more questions I want to ask you. Someone in Facebook wanted me to ask you about the fake spike, but we'll have you when you come back for the next one. We'll talk about that.
Sounds great.
What a pleasure to talk to you, Bernie. Thank you so much.
Sounds great. God bless you. God bless everybody out there. Go Canes.
Go Canes. Yes, go Canes. Love it. Pretty tough guy. You heard those stories. Bernie Kosar. He's awesome, and we're so glad that he joined us today. All right, we're going to go back to some sportscasters now, and prepare to laugh for the next few minutes, no doubt about it, because these guys are great personalities. You know this guy as the sports director of WSBN. There he is right there. It's the great Steve Shapiro, who has been a South Florida sportscaster for 30 years, which is amazing because I thought he was only 35 years old.
There you go. I just want to know, have you had those two jerseys behind you for the last 32 years? It looks like the bedroom for a 10-year-old, man.
Look, buddy, I got a limited budget, man. I'm shooting this show from my baby boy's bedroom. What do you want from me? Doing the best I can.
Good for you, man. Who's the other guy?
The other guy's right below you on my screen. There he is, the great John Crotty. Not only did he play for the Miami Heat, he's been part of the Miami Heat's broadcast team, for over 15 years now. You see him on TV talking about the Heat, and these guys are buds. So I'm psyched to dive into this conversation. And John, I found out some interesting intel from Steve. I didn't know this, but not only are you guys friends, but apparently you've also been roommates in the past.
Oh no! Oh no! We can't.
Easy.
We can't. No.
Please share.
You want to tell him?
Look, I love it. So when I was working with the Heat doing the studio work, I would crash at times at Steve's pad there up there in Fort Lauderdale. Man, he's got it tricked out. I got to give him credit. I got to give him props. I mean, right now he looks like he's in somebody's basement, but he's got a pretty cool spot up there. He let me crash when I had my late night West Coast games finishing up in the studio around 2:30. I'd be flopping there instead of making the 45-minute drive back down to Coral Gables.
Yeah, tricked out is code for free scotch.
You got to give all the secrets. I love it.
That sounds pretty tricked out to me. I love it. Steve, you are, as we mentioned, you are royalty down here in the broadcast booth. We've been talking to some just awesome South Florida legends over the past 45 minutes. Do you have a favorite athlete that you've interviewed? You've interviewed them all. Is there one that stands out for you?
You mean besides Crotty?
Besides Crotty, obviously.
Besides Crotty? By the way, John, I don't know if you saw this. I think we're on the B team here. He just got through with Taylor and Kosar. Did you see that?
I saw.
No, you build up as the show goes on. You build up.
He had us in the witness protection mode in the dark, man. But we're in the light now. Steve, go ahead, man. Give him the good news.
I've said this publicly, and I know that you have one of the guys I'm going to mention now. I know that you're having him, I think, later on in your program now is Mike Lowell. I always enjoyed my relationship with Mike when the Marlins won the World Series in 2003. He's honest. He invited me to play in his golf tournaments. We've had a long-standing relationship. He's been on my show a few times. And then the other guy is Zach Thomas, who I continue to have a relationship with. He should be in the Hall of Fame. Again, a real honest athlete. And you know this, Dave. When you talk to athletes, you just want them to be honest. You just want them to give you the skinny, to tell you the truth, to be interested, to be respectful. And I found that those two guys in particular were really good to, not just to me, but to all the media.
I love that. We had Mike Lowell started off the show. So we had him talking about the World Series, and also we revisited the Steve Bartman Chicago Cubs.
Oh, yeah. I was there. Yeah.
What a great story that I hadn't thought about in 100 years. John, so I'm thinking back to the year that you spent playing for the Heat, and people may or may not remember this, but that team was great. You guys made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. And then you played some guy, I don't know, Jordan something or other, I believe, if memory serves. But that was a great season, right?
No, it was up until the championship year in 2006. The first one the Heat won, that was the best team. And I was blessed to play 11 years in the league and had a great year here playing for Coach Pat Riley. And it's been just amazing to be part of the organization and just see this team continue to be a competitive team and with the quality of players that they've been able to bring in year in, year out. But that year was really a hard-nosed defensive team. It was Tim Hardaway doing his thing on the offensive end with the crossover and the threes, and then Zoe on the interior, just nasty blocking shots, getting on top of the rim. It was a very hard-nosed physical team. But look, I'm sure you've seen the shows, Dave. You know, the Jordan shows have been amazing to watch. The documentaries, you saw what they had going on from a dynasty perspective. And at that point, they were just playing at such a high level during that 97 playoff. You know, they really put it to us.
We were talking about this with Jordana DePaula a few moments ago, the Ray Allen three-pointer, that great magical come from behind championship season for both you guys. I'm curious what your thoughts were, because when you think about South Florida sports memories, that's one that immediately comes to mind. Steve, to you first, what did you think during that game, during that shot, during that series?
Crazy. I was in the bowels of the stadium because we do a 10 o'clock newscast. So we were on the air when he made that shot. So I heard everybody going crazy, and then I ran out and realized what happened. But I didn't actually see it happen because we were on the air. But you should know this, that 2 of the Heat's 3 championships, they won on my birthday, June 20th. So if the Heat are ever playing in the finals, they're playing a Game 7 on June 20th, I want you to put every penny you have on the Miami Heat. That's a guarantee right there.
Boom, you should do a mic drop. I don't know if you're wearing one, but you should do like a lapel mic drop.
It's all about Shappy, Dave. It's all about Shappy. I was broadcasting
for years, John.
I was broadcasting from the radio perspective, and I'll never forget that particular play just because traditional NBA, when it looks like the series is about to be over, all of a sudden security brings out the yellow ropes and they started pulling them out to hold the fans back after the game would be over so they wouldn't storm the court. And I know we were worried at Radio Row up there what was going to happen, but you know, the Heat saw it and used it as a motivating force. And I'll never forget the shot because having taken a ton of threes, what was so amazing about it from my perspective watching Ray was he never looked down. He knew where he was on the floor, having taken so many shots, where his space and the proximity to getting behind the line because he needed that three, and then finding a way to get behind it without looking down in the air on the fly like that. When you're moving backwards, to have enough energy to be able to follow through, you know, with a firm shot like that and get it to go. I mean, such a hard, difficult shot for most people, and Ray just made it look easy.
That's such a great perspective from you, because to the layman, it still looks like a great shot, right? Like, oh, wow, awesome shot. But then when you talk about really what's involved in that, it takes it to another level. All right, we have a surprise for you guys, I think, coming in about a minute or so. Someone's going to be joining us. But until we get, and by the way, production crew, bring him in whenever he's ready. But until we get to that, John, since Steve has interviewed everybody in South Florida, if you had a chance to interview the great Steve Shapiro, what would you go for? Okay, John Offerdahl is joining us. Here he is. It's a free-for-all. So let me have you answer that question quickly, and then we'll bring John in. If you were interviewing Steve, John Crotty, would you make him cry? What would you do?
I'd talk to him about his
Stop it.
You know, I'd talk to him about where he got married and where was his favorite college to get married at. That's probably what I would talk to him about, right, Steve?
What he's talking about, Dave, and then I got to go because we're taping some interviews. We have Edrin James on our show tonight, so I got to go talk to him. Yes, to you. But I got married at the University of Virginia, and my ex-wife now, who I'm still friendly with, was the basketball trainer at the University of Virginia, where John went to school. How about that?
Yeah, let's talk about a small world.
Yeah, and then and the next thing I know, he's sleeping in my spare bedroom.
You guys need like a buddy sitcom or something. Well, John Crotty, Steve Shapiro, thank you so much. Before you guys go, anything you'd like to say to the great John Offerdahl?
Yeah, how come I didn't get invited to the last cook-off?
Because you keep saying cook-off. It's a grill-off.
Grill-off!
You got to get that right. It's the grill-off. Hey, John.
Hey, Dave, good luck to you. Thanks for having me on. And, you know, I'm a great supporter of the American Cancer Society. I hope we raise a lot of money. And Dave is a cancer survivor, and he's a tough guy. And thanks for doing this, Dave.
Of course. Yeah. Thank you.
Dave.
John, I love your bagels. And Dave, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Of course, John. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
See you guys.
And before we chat with John Offerdahl, let me remind you guys one more time that we need you to donate. So if you can text CURE to 20222, that's an automatic donation of $25, and we would really appreciate that. Or if you're joining us on Facebook, you can just hit the donate button. Every dollar helps, right, John Offerdahl? Every dollar helps.
That's right. Let's go.
Let's go. Yes. So I don't know how much you heard. We tried to bring you in earlier when Bernie Kosar was on, but the two of you have quite a history, you and Bernie Kosar.
Oh, I didn't hear anything. I was muted. I didn't, but I did see him blabber. What was he saying?
He was saying that when he was playing for the Browns, you accidentally, of course, broke his ankle in a game. And then I don't even know if you know this. So he played the rest of the game with a broken ankle. And then the next day, Coach Shula called him. And Bernie was telling me that opposing coaches never call players after an injury, but he was so touched that Coach Shula did that.
I remember that game. I remember that play. I did not know I injured Bernie until probably weeks later when it was clear that he had broken, I think it was his foot. And, Bernie was and is the toughest nut. I'm telling you, the guy played the whole game, didn't complain. Quite honestly, I certainly didn't hear a scream coming out of his mouth when the play occurred. And just thought so highly of the grit. He represented Cleveland so well as an athlete and as a quarterback, and only expected him to continue to play.
You guys are all so tough. This is why, by the way, as a child, I played a lot of tennis. You don't have a lot of injuries like this on the tennis court. But look, I'm sure I know you've had an injury history. All you guys have. What for you? What was the most painful injury that you ever played through?
Yeah, so my fifth, sixth, my sixth, seventh, and eighth year, I had injuries that took me out of the last basically 10 games. I completely tore my PCL, MCL. I had shoulder separations, but the injury that got to my head and literally kind of changed my internal kind of dynamic and belief that I was invincible was an abdomen injury that literally ate my mental mind up. It was a deterioration of my abdominal wall, and no lie, I could walk, I couldn't run. I kept on thinking I could play, and the moment I did something quick, I just felt like my whole abdomen was shattered. And it was one of the most frustrating injuries. And people will always tell you those soft tissue injuries are so much harder to tackle than a bone injury or something that can be casted and healed. So, yeah, I was injured my whole life. I played all the time injured, but it was those 3 last years that kind of it told me time was up, and that second of the 3 took it out of my brain. I couldn't handle it. I was invincible up to that point. From that point on, I was a mere man.
I would not call you a mere man. I mean, some of the things you just said, I would have quit life. I would have just been in recuperation for 30 years. So that's incredible.
I'm still in recoup, man.
Yeah, but you're the busiest guy in recuperation of all time. You have built such a incredible, awesome business here in South Florida. You're so well known and beloved in the community. For you, what is it like to be this guy, this beacon of the South Florida community? I mean, you surely must love it down here because people love you.
Well, NFL gave me an unbelievable platform, and it does to all players. I was fortunate enough to marry the right person who I've loved for now 30 years. We're business partners, obviously, husband and wife. But that foundation allowed me to get into businesses, to really have a heart for the community, to look after opportunities, to impact the community in different ways through our foundation, Offerdahl's Handoff Foundation. And I've been blessed to be around people, Dave, like yourself, who have allowed me a continual platform and been partners with me in so many of our efforts. And I want to call out Coach Shula, because even last month before his death, he was a partner of us feeding South Florida and the communities around the stadium after the COVID-19 came along. We used his quote on the packaging to inspire people. And, it's just so neat to be able to come together as a team with your former players and other athletes and media personalities to just do good in the community and just try as best he can to bring something out of, discouragement or certainly during these times, tough tough economic and family times.
You know, Bernie also spoke so highly of Coach Shula. What was it about him? You know, as a fan, as a person watching Dolphin games, he was just, you know, this stoic guy, this tough guy, this great football coach, obviously, but clearly much more than that. What was it about Coach Shula that made him so legendary?
Well, he demanded so much from his players, and you realize that. I mean, I realized that. You realize that the first day I came in knowing that Coach Shula was a legend, even though he was in the midst of his career. And my first couple of weeks, you know, he demanded so much from me that he rose my level of play up beyond what I could have imagined. And quite honestly, for the next 5 years, I played. Sometimes I pinch myself because I was in the NFL and coached by the greatest coach and quarterback with the greatest quarterback. You know, and sometimes people can rise to the talent and the expectations around them. And for those 5 years in my life, I am so fortunate to have someone like Coach who quite honestly pushed the heck out of his players. He would have a great player play the game, and that was me. All right, I'm not saying I was amazingly talented, but I tried really hard, and I had a lot of grit in me. With one arm and the other arm totally casted. That Cleveland game against Bernie, I tore my arm up, and it was contusion. It was bleeding into my wrist inside, and I had to be casted over the elbow for the next 3 weeks. And I thought, for sure, I'm out. I'm not going to play. Doctor said I'm out. I played the next week and the next 3 weeks with a full cast as a rookie, all right? And the second string linebacker in the NFL with two hands, you would think, is going to be better. And Coach Shula told me something, and it's so true in the way he coached in his life. He says, I'll take my players with one arm than a second stringer who has two. And there are a few players in the NFL that, you know, just they're players. They'll come to the moment, they'll execute, and they won't leave anything off the field. And I think Shula demanded that. And when he found players like that, they were on the field.
Man, what a story. Wow. What a great way to end the show. You look great. You look great. And by the way, I've seen you grill. You know, you're flipping the burgers. Your hands look fine. Your arms look great. John, man, I love you, buddy. You know, it's been years we go back. It's so great to see you. Thanks for everything you're doing.
You've always been so supportive to our community efforts too, Dave. And I want to just commend you for this work. And, you know, everybody's touched with cancer. Just recently, my mother-in-law overcame and recovered from kidney cancer. And right now I have a dear, blessed friend in Orlando who oversees my financial life, Bob Baker, who's going through treatment, his 5th treatment in a stage 4 cancer. So I love him and he's doing well. But I mean, we all feel for that, and we all go through that certainly with Bob right now, and with people in our lives that mean a lot to us. So thanks for standing up for American Cancer Society, and let's raise some funds.
Of course. Thank you. And you're so right. Cancer touches all of us. Even if you don't have it personally, you certainly know somebody who does. And that's what we are doing today. We are raising funds to fight cancer. John Offerdahl, great to see you. Thank you so much.
Great to be on, Dave. Go get it.
That's what we're doing. We are getting them. Right. And let me remind you one more time before we end our show to text CURE to 20222 to donate. That's a $25 donation. Or if you're watching us on Facebook, you can just click the donate button, and that will get you the ability to donate whatever you'd like. They're giving me a number now. We don't know the exact numbers, but it looks like we've raised close to $3,000 in this hour so far, and those donations are going to keep coming in. There's no doubt about it. So that's a great start, $3,000. But if you haven't donated yet, please do so. And I guess it's time for us to say goodbye. I just want to say some thank yous to everybody who helped make this production a success. Look, it is hard to do live production, and we have a great crew that have really helped us. And I want to thank Brian and Dan who supervised this production. They've done a great job. I want to thank Arlene. I want to thank Jeff, Adam Ross, Jay Zieger, Viviana Martir, and of course, Gary Reedy from the American Cancer Society, the CEO. I want to thank him for giving us that video announcement. It's been an honor. It's been a pleasure. It has been a wonderful way to celebrate National Cancer Survivors Day. Thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you to all of our guests, some of the biggest names in South Florida sports. And hopefully this will be an annual thing, and I'll see you next year. Have a great night, everybody. Stay safe. And that's a wrap. See you soon.